Welcome back to Art with Jane. Today we are going to focus on the idea of just doing whatever habit works for you and making a start. Once upon a time, not long ago, I was with a group of knitters and I started telling them the story of Vios, and they told me their own stories. Basically, when you're learning to knit, there's a lot of steps. One of the things I'm doing right here is I'm crossing the yarn and then I'm pulling it onto the knitting needle, which is actually a Chinese chopstick that I sharpened with a pencil sharpener. And the reason why I'm using chopsticks isn't that I don't have my own knitting needles, it's that it took me a lot of tries before I was actually ready to start knitting. When I was in India, and if we didn't have any string, the lathes were really awesome and they would smile at me and they would say, "Don't worry, Jane." And they would take an old sari and start taking one strand of that sari and unraveling an old sari. And then suddenly you would have string to make flower lace, you would have string to just do whatever your heart spoke to you to do. So this lesson of knitting with chopsticks isn't just casting on, doing a few stitches and figuring it all out. It's really a chance to say, yeah, even if I don't have my knitting needles, I can find a way to do this. Even if I don't have my favorite type of yarn, there's a way around that too. Now, this is where you're making your first stitch. And as you see, I accidentally put that off. That's okay. You just poke through from behind. You wrap the yarn around and you pull this over and you go like that. While I do arts and crafts, I have really been thinking the words about what support means and how to get dreams started, because dreams are nebulous things and that makes them beautiful and it makes it full of all sorts of possibilities. But as an adult, we like things to not just be full of possibilities. We like the idea of security. We like to have our bills paid and other such things, but there are ways to go do your art and go do your dreams, even if you don't have access to the money that you're used to or you've never had. When you are knitting, there are 2 stitches you can do, and the 2 stitches are knitting and purling. And what happens is the first stitch you, for the most part, always want to knit. You want to have a good base. And unfortunately, when you purl rhymes with curl, and when you purl, it kind of curls. So if you can knit your first couple of rows, then you're not going to have as much curling. And this one, because it's going to be super tiny, it's about, I'd give it about 1.5 to 2 inches. This can be a bookmark, and this is a great start for knitting. So once again, you poke under, you put your thread through, you take your yarn and you go over. So poke, under, over. I'm a little bit worried that this might be a little boring for the camera, but we're going to get to the really exciting part other than chopsticks. Purling in 5 stitches. So we can make a checkered print on their cute little bookmark. So you've got 2 choices when you use chopsticks for your knitting needles. One of the choices is that you sharpen the ends. The other choice is you just do everything incredibly loosely. I'm a tight knitter, so I just want to put that out there. So here we are, we finished those. And now we'll talk about purling. Purling is when you go, you see, you stab this way to get a knit, and you stab that way to purl. And where you go under, you go over for a purl. So let me just count my stitches. 3, 6, 9, 10. All right, so we're going to purl twice, and then we're going to knit twice. So over, then we're going to take the string, cross the line, poke from under, go over 1 and 2. And then we're going to cross the line, go over this way, and 1. Polka-D up. Let's see if we can get this. Polka-D across, and you purl. All right. So there is a group called Gifts from the Heart, and they meet downstairs Friday mornings at 10 a.m. at the Greenbelt Community Center. These people really do knit quite a bit, and they are one of the groups of knitters that I sit with. And when you're doing a new art project, it's really important to find your support people. I find books are good, and so are videos, but if you have people who you can call up and be like, hey, I want to try something new, that is just beautiful. So if you need your people, I would recommend going down at 10 a.m. to the community center and talking to them about learning how to knit. There's definitely people there that would be very happy to show you. The other call that I'm going to try and make out, it's a call to live your dreams. So if your dreams at all involve videos, or learning how to shoot a video, or using light in a video, you should go and become a member at Gate TV. Because so far, they have provided me with a lot of lessons on what it takes to become a person who does videos. I have dreams. We will see where these dreams go. I've got the art supplies, I've got the experience. I just have to keep on finding that support and that structure to keep on doing the next step. It's not always easy, but it's totally worth it. And you know, the crazy part is it's forming more than it has ever formed in the past. So I am so incredibly thankful for Gate TV. I would love to see so many new faces out here, especially if you want to join, because we can always use more help. Yes, knitting is a prayer for me, and there are things called prayer shawls. You can look them up online, and it's free to get started. Free in knitting terms means you pay for the yarn and you pay for the knitting needles unless you have a package of chopsticks nearby, at which point you can pay for the chopsticks. And if you find yourself when you're not focused, not exactly following your own pattern, I usually say that's okay. It's a practice of learning, and it's a practice of experience. It's not exactly rocket science. So when you are thinking of things that are not knitting, like you're not thinking knit, purl, knit, purl. You're liable to mess up. And you can undo it completely, or you can keep going and give your attention to the knitting as opposed to the storytelling. But that's the fun thing about getting a video done at the same time. You're trying to tell a story at the same time you're knitting. So this will not be perfect, but that's all right. Right now, my favorite thing is alpaca yarn, and that's what I'm knitting with right now, because this stuff is super, super soft. And this goes to my minister. My minister, when I told her the idea of we're going to have a prayer shawl committee, she looked at me and she's like, I'm not sure you're ready for it, but I'm like, that's all right. This is just what I need to do every single morning to get myself out of bed. So that's what I'm going to do. And she said, all right. So we started, and she then looked at me and she's like, if you want to do a meditation, you need to go visit alpacas. And there is a beautiful farm, and I learned a whole lot about alpacas and what it takes to turn their yarn into alpaca fibers. A lot of people will call alpaca fibers wool, but it turns out they are not. There's a lot to learn about alpacas, but I also took my son with me, and he's 6 years old, and he was so excited, and it was the end of the day for the alpacas. So the alpacas were okay, and we got to pet the alpacas, but it was a little bit of a slow start. So the answer to that is I just need to go back and visit more alpacas. But we picked up some yarn, and then I would feel the yarn. And when I'm a little bit uncentered, I just go back and I touch this yarn and it feels good. But yeah, I definitely as a child loved to draw. And my little town, Zanesville, Ohio, has an art museum. And they had pictures of, I want to say Leonardo da Vinci's art from when he was a kid that was not quite like the perfect drawings that we associate him with. Now, and my teacher took me aside at that point when I was a young child and said, Jane, I feel your art is just like his. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I think I've always been an artist. It's just whether or not you call yourself an artist. And what defines an artist? Is it the intent, or is it to be the best of the best? I mean, Pablo Picasso has this idea that his parents taught him how to do really good art, high quality art. When he painted, the world stopped and it was like, wow, look at how good he painted that picture. But then, at another point, he said, I don't want to paint like this anymore. I want to paint like a child. But it was so hard to let go of all the rules of art. And I think there's a definite struggle and a definite idea of what high art is. And I think you have to, as an individual, sit with that and pray with that to understand what art means to you. Is the art the fact that if I go into airport where there's 8 hours of waiting, and I feel like in life we are always waiting, right? There's traffic, there's lines for everything, so we just wait. But what if we use that wait to be like, hey, guess what? Let's do something with that wait. Let's make a bookmark. Let's figure out a way to tape up a wall and fill that taped up wall with graffiti and then take it down. Or take photos of it and discuss what the deeper relevance and meaning of it in our society is. Take your voice, speak up, and do whatever it is that you need to do. You know, it's life. There's a lot that you can do.
What's your favorite medium?
Ooh, that's an impossible question. It's everything in an art store and then some. It's nature walks and looking at sand and making sand castles and finding the found art on the trails. It's going to look at those places that you love and treasure and you see that they're covered with nests, so you bring your own trash bags and you pick up the trash. I think life is my favorite medium. But I don't say no to a good set of watercolor markers, and I do not say no to a good set of yarn. So in time, everything changes. Like today, while I've been sitting here, I've learned a challenge does not mean to give up. To me, a challenge means go buy yourself a pair of hiking boots and try a little bit harder. But that has its own problems. I think I might just do a meditative touch square for this one. So I'll just do one more thing and I'll cast off. So it's called cast on and cast off. There's definitely a more complicated way to cast on than I casted on, but once again, I'm not trying to show you complicated. I'm just trying to start you on the idea of let's try something new. And if anything is new to you and you want to do it, go for it. I hope to have several different community art projects because I really want to see that transformation in the community. I want people to feel the smiles and the joy, and I am casting off without telling you what I'm doing. So you knit like you're normally knitting, and then you take this one from the back and you put over. And so you knit, you go like this, you slide, and you take this over, and you knit, and you slide, and then the one thing that I do not have here will be scissors, and oh, thank you, magical scissors. Just to double check, can you do that in my real life too? Thank you. I'm telling you, you all really need to come down to Gate. I mean, I did not know that this was here. And I'm just saying, if this is here, just walk yourself down. And if you find yourself in a situation where your mind's a little boggled, your body's not behaving the way it is, but you have a story to tell, go tell it. Go find people who will listen and then who will bring your voice out to the public. So once again, thank you so much, Gate TV. Here we go. And there you have my square. If you have the heart to do this, and you've got a little girl at home, or you just have Barbies that need their own styling, you could make them their own outfits. It would be cool. But start simple, find your people, and have them help support you as you start whatever it is your journey is. So thank you so much, and yes, very stretchy, very soft, so soft.